بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين إلى يوم الدين أما بعد إن أحدكم يجمع خلقه في بطن أمه 40 يوما. The creation of each one is brought together in the womb of the mother for 40 days in the form of a nutfa, a drop. ثم يكون علقة مثل ذلك, then it becomes alaqa, a clot of blood, for another 40 days. ثم يكون مضغة, then a morsel of flesh for another 40 days. 40 days, 4 months. ثم يبعث الله ملكا فيؤمر بأربع كلمات ويقال له. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deputes an angel who blows his ruh into this child, and 4 decisions are stipulated. اكتب عمله ورزقه وأجله وشقي أو سعيد. His rizq, his lifespan, his actions, and he will be from amongst the fortunate or unfortunate, the wretched, the inmates of Jannah or Jahannam. So when quoting this hadith, people firstly say that his rizq is written, so why do we need to prepare? His life is written, so why do we need to prepare? We will not get into the topic of what the ulama state. But this hadith here already is telling you that Allah creates the child in stages of 40 days. Means there is a preparation period. There is planning, there is organization, there is system. Likewise, our rizq has been stipulated, our life has been stipulated, but part of our taqdeer, it is important to understand, and we have to study Quran and Hadith to do the reconciliation. And each person, based on their yaqeen and their tawakkul, must make a call. Like a fireman who is preparing for a fire, he knows he's got the gear, he's got the fire extinguishers, he's got the fire blankets, he's got the oxygen tanks, he's prepared accordingly. So he knows if he has to escape in a fire situation in his own home, and he's got the skill and expertise. Then if we had to ask him about preparing for a fire, what will he say compared to somebody who's got zero skill and have done nothing about it? So yaqeen is also an effort which we need to be making effort on, we need to be concentrating on. In the riwayat of Bukhari, Umar radiallahu anhu narrates that كان يبيع نخل بني النظير ويحبس لأهله قوت سنتهم. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to sell the dates of the garden of Bani Nadir, and he would store for his family so much food that it would cover the needs for an entire year. It would cover the needs for an entire year. So this is Sayyidul Anbiya, Imamul Anbiya, and the hadith is in Bukhari. So we need to ponder. We shouldn't be reckless in our speech, reckless in not spending time in the company of the ulama and understanding Quran and Hadith. So amal wise, we are in the forefront, asbab wise as well. And between the two, based on a person's progress, his yaqeen and his tawakkul on Allah, can he decide the parameter, the barometer, the yardstick. But we need to start. Somebody said, prepping empties my wallet but fills my bunker. So it does something. It's hard, yes, but there's no harm. The thing is, we've been hearing about it, we've gone through COVID. So we're speaking about preparedness, we're not loving it. We're not loving it. And at the time of need, prepping is a superpower. Prepping, by default, we should not consider only storage, but do you have the art and the skill of gardening, irrigation, planting? If there's no fertilizer, soil rotation, seeds, are you buying normal seeds that cannot generate more, or heirloom seeds where it can perpetuate? So many conditions, so many sharait. If there's no water available, what alternate water source do you have, etc., etc. So it's not only dependent on knowing what to do, but how to do it and being able to do it. And that's where we practically apply these rules in our life, and we have to simulate it. So we have to understand it's not for waiting for things to happen, then we consider executing. No. It's a simple thing, like people buy these armored vehicles, but generally tests show, illa mashallah, depending where they source in the company, what thickness of armored steel they use in the vehicle, but many a caliber goes through the armored steel, and even through the glass it fails the test. They have to do real ballistics. So you're spending on a B4 X amount, on a B6 so much, but how much investigation have you made? How much verification have you done to make sure there's certain areas where there's vulnerability? So we just believe what people say and accept it. So it is important that we don't get caught in all this deception, in all these lies. And lies has this become the order of the day. Whether it's on a global scale, from the likes of a COVID pandemic, to on a micro level. So the abnormal now has become normal, and if you are truthful, then you are abnormal. Look at our daily life, how people clearly speak lies. The check is in the mail, they say in the olden days, or I've done payment, I'll send you the proof of payment. Officer was driving fast. Why did he stop you? The doctor tells the patient, don't worry, this won't hurt. Come on, tell me, I won't get angry. I promise, I won't get angry. So it's words. The wife tells husband, eat this, you like it, you love it. Somebody is selling a car, the salesman says, its only previous owner was an old lady who used it for driving to the shops. The husband complains, my wife doesn't understand me. My wife doesn't understand me. You don't look a day over 40. Husband's telling his wife, you don't look a day over 40. Don't worry, boss, we'll do the work first thing in the morning. I'll get it done first thing in the morning, don't worry. How often do people say that? The estate agent, we've got so much interest in this property, so if you want it, you need to work fast. Of course, darling, I love you. So words. You don't need it in writing. You've got my word. What word? I'll call you later. The call never comes. It's only, it's an absolute bargain. Salesman says, it's a deal of the century. You're not going to get this. Somebody's selling a beachfront property. It's only 100 meters from the beach. The husband sends a message to his wife, I'm having a great time. I wish you were here. If it will make you happy, it will make me happy. Words again. Somebody bought something, it's supposed to make a noise. It's normal. One size fits all. Oh, you better buy it. You're so fortunate. This is the last one in stock. No, it's not the money. It's just the principle of the thing. No, the money is important. when somebody asks about the children, no, our children, they never cause us a moment's grief in our life. Every moment is in grief. There's a mark, a spot on a cloth. It's a very small spot. Nobody will notice. Nobody will notice. The color really suits you. She means nothing to me. Trust me. You won't find anyone cheaper. So words. The world now is revolving around deception. So we need to start trusting in Allah, doing the amal that will make Allah happy, and start drawing the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For ourselves, for our family, for the ummah. And likewise, asbab-wise as well. And no matter where a person is, he can always move a notch up. Where am I? Where do I need to get? What do I need to do to get to my target? Start working to it. We haven't documented, we haven't identified targets. We don't have an ambition. We don't have an hadaf. And we should never lose hope. The same Allah that was there for Anbiya, the same Allah that was there for Sahaba. We see volumes and volumes of how Allah's nusrat came. The same Allah is with us. Mawlana Thanwi rahmatullah explaining this point, Mujid Millat says that there were a group of people from the town of Sandela, and they performed Salatul Istisqa for rain. Rain didn't come. So the situation was quite desperate and they needed water. So the prostitutes of the town went to the mayor of the town and said that the dua you've been making are incomplete. There's no efficacy in your dua. Chances of being accepted. Why? Because we are in this community and we think this rain is being withheld because of our sins. So we would like to go into the jungles, into the forests, and we need to sort out our affair with our Malik, our Khalik, Allah Rabbul Alameen. We want to make sincere tawbah, tawbatan nasuha. So we have one request that we will be doing this year, but we want no mahram males to come near us or cast evil glances, because the nuhusad of that may jeopardize the entire operation. So arrangements were made and the measures were taken that nobody would come near, and these ladies gathered in the forest in the outskirts of the town. They read salah, they made dua to Allah, they cried, they made tawbah, and they poured their hearts out. And they were sincere in their tawbah. While they were making dua, it started to rain in torrents. So never look down upon anybody, never underestimate anybody. So currently now, if we say that the beast may be in one country, but the head is somewhere else, and strategically these organizations, these institutes have set up structures to facilitate their agendas. So if you look at Switzerland as well, then for many reasons we would call it the head. One is the World Economic Forum, the WEF. So they're an unelected NGO firstly. Who's behind it? From Geneva, Klaus. And they supposedly have taken over the future of humanity and mankind. And once a year, generally around January 3,000 delegates, so-called wannabe luminaries, gather in Davos, Switzerland, and in the name of making the world in a better place, for it is actually to be better, not better. So we see that even this year they get together in May in Davos, and part of the agendas, many agendas, one of them is deglobalization. We're not going to get into the people and the names, but do research with regards to that. What's more important, and it's not common knowledge, is the BIS, the Bank for International Settlements, is in Switzerland. So it's a big tower, and if we had to call it the Tower of Babil, and these towers in the past also go into Tariq, and you will see. So the tower to rebel against Allah. So and if you look at the similarities in the design, the architecture, go do some research and we'll find a lot of similarities. So, and it's located at the border to Germany, and established in 1930. And this was primarily at that time to manage Germany's debt payments to the winners of World War I, but is actually preparing a fund for World War II, because when World War happens, there's a lot of agendas which are planned, and the world changes at the time. So like 9/11 was just a small catalyst to create certain structures in place. When the World War happens, it's a globalization. They've got a global agenda. So from the BIS channeling money from the US, the Feds, to Germany, and they were financing Hitler's war, and the war at that time with the Soviet Union. So even if we go in history from 1930 to 1933, Gates McGrath, where these gates come up all the time, gates of Jahannam. So he was playing an official role in clearing the German reparations and the debts to develop the new facilities for international banking. So go back 1924, he was an American director of the Reichsbank, the Central Bank of Germany, which was created around 1876. So it's like a parallel task. And World War II was funded. Why? Because they wanted the USSR as well to be weakened, and the losses were enormous, but they defeated Hitler, and it was a downfall of Nazism. So we can understand why the president of Russia currently is against this Nazi leadership, the Nazi military forces, the battalions in Ukraine. So the Azov battalions, they fought with Hitler's Nazi army during World War II against the Soviet Union. So the BIS, it still sits in the Babil-shaped tower, but they manage funds for besides the globalized system, the Western monetary system, the central banks of the world. There's underground floors where central bank gold reserves are stored as well. Now go back behind it. Oh, does it come back to the Rothschild family? So they controlling the global financial system, currencies, fiat currencies, the Federal Reserve, etc., etc., etc. So you've got all these pyramid doctrines. So that's number two. And number three, the most secretive international banking system is in Switzerland, and it reaches out across the globe. So a lot of secrecy. And the Pandemic Treaty. So if we see, the home of the WHO is there as well. So-called 194 member countries. And now they want to create the Pandemic Treaty. They're trying to create some sovereignty in health. So they say they're the World Health Organization. We say they're the World Health, WHT tyranny, or WHO the world's most harmful organization. Or who do they think they are? So some voting was done, and 47 African countries blocked it. They voted against it. So that's going to be pushed forward. They're going to find a way. And it was proposed by the Biden administration, which is part of this big scheme. But Switzerland is part of it, the EU is part of it. And if this treaty is implemented, then your rights, your freedoms, your basic, and that ties in with a lot of the global agendas. So it's a shortcut to global governance. And initially in December 2021 proposed, not even the Swiss public knew about it until April the next year. So from the World Central Banking to the Economic Forum to the now WHO to the young global leaders, and what they're saying, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. So the Swiss already have pushed for subsidizing the poor people and having a fixed income for them, and likewise subsidies. So between that and the 5G, 6G, AI, where humans will be chipped, and transhumanism that was discussed in the Qiyamah series, if we get a chance, also the Apocalypse series, a lot of details have been discussed, and the agendas have been outlined. So the idea is the UBI, which is the Universal Basic Income. It will be a government program to give out handouts, and this is they're calling it the Fourth Industrial Revolution, Agenda 2030, or the Great Reset. So obviously the people's referendum, it was rejected, 75% of the votes, but they're going to find ways to make sure now it can mature. If you look at on a debt scale as well, they are apt, because their debt is around 171.7% of the normal GDP, and the US is at 228%, so they're close to the US. So both these countries are expropriating nothing out of nothing. They're just minting and using the resources to their own agendas. Likewise in Switzerland, most people don't own homes, so properties are mortgaged, and it passes from generation to generation, but that's the idea. And financial crises also have been artificially created as well to start taking control. Greece was literally destroyed, 2008 crash. So when these crises happen, then they put people in a position of compromise. So moving forward, what they identifying is Agenda 2030. And we have to be very vigilant, and we have to be very aware of all of this here. And we have to start taking precaution. We have to start, there's much more details of the planning and the plotting. إِنَّهُمْ يَكِيدُونَ كَيْدًا وَأَكِيدُ كَيْدًا. They plan, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best of planners. We need to get ready and create a taluk and relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.